We are going to be talking about the disk operating system as one of the types of operating system which we have, and in the course of learning it, it is regarded as a single user, single tasking operating system. Called a single user, single tasking operating system because it makes use of what we call command user interface, or you can call it a command line application or operating system preferably. Then it has many functions, it has many things I will be talking about, but first and foremost the thing we're going to be discussing is the definition, the function, disk and drive, floppy disk, running DOS terminologies, and how to format a disk. These are the things we are going to be looking at here. On your screen, what you're seeing is you are seeing the first view of disk operating system, which is called DOS for short. But basically now we have some functions that make functions are it initiates the booting process designed by the manufacturers. Another function is that it serves as the gateway for introducing other operating systems into a new computer. It also organizes information on a disk. Now, there are many other things you can be talking about here. We know what a disk is, or let's say in the course of this we are meant to understand what a disk is. And here a disk can simply be called, or you can explain it to be, a magnetic device made up of tracks and sectors on which information is recorded. And also any device, any platform through which the device can be accessed, read or written into is called a drive. That is why you can also a magnetic device through which you read data from and write data onto a disk. That is when we're talking about the drive. Now on this note, you should know that there are different kinds of disk that we can be talking about. For instance, we have a floppy disk, we have a compact disk, and also we have disk like the flash disk. So now, but without wasting much time, I would like us to first of all know how to run DOS, because the abbreviation for disk operating system is DOS, D-O-S. So now I don't want you to say it's maybe director of social or what, but take note, it is disk operating system, D-O for your notice. Now if we want to run this application or this operating system, which is a single user, single tasking operating system, the first thing we do is we can simply go to the file menu, we click on run, type the cmd and press enter. For instance, cmd, we press the enter and it will come up. Another way through which that can be done is simply coming down using the search and typing cmd and getting if it is a program file, it comes up. Now you can also go there also and say command prompt, we have an error there. So you can put the command prompt, but make sure you just make it a brief one. Instead of putting it directly a command prompt, just put, let's make everything capital letter, DOS, Disk Operating System prompt. Let the prompt not be complete. It's not a mistake. That is how it will be written. You press your enter. Now, why is it not coming up here? Don't mind if it doesn't come up on your own system, because it might not work in some versions of the Windows, but your own version of Windows might work. So you can easily click your own version of Windows, type it that way, or simply type command, press enter. Also, let's make it capital letter. Now, mind you, I'm making use of Windows 10 Education. Maybe you might get through when you're working with your own Windows version. Now, once you go there and click on CMD, which is the preferable one I like using, press enter, it will come up like this. Once it comes up like this, you have everything. Now, in peradventure you want to make it to fill the screen, what you do is press Alt Enter, and you see it is covering the whole screen. That is to show you that DOS is now covering the whole screen. But peradventure you want to send it back, you press Alt Enter, and it will come back to its normal way. Guys, don't mind my desktop is filled with so many junk and trashes, but bear with me. They will have some terminologies that you're supposed to note in DOS. That's one is what we call the DOS prompt. And what is a DOS prompt? Is the starting point of Disk Operating System that indicates the readiness of DOS, that's Disk Operating System, to accept command. Now, this blinking cursor here shows that is a DOS prompt. That shows the readiness of disk of it to accept any command. That means you can type any command at this point, just like you see on your screen what I'm doing. So guys, these are how the things are being done. Then one other way of this DOS prompt, of this DOS terminologies, we have what we call a program, and we know that it's a set of instructions that when executed causes the computer to act the way we want it to. Then we have the file, which is said to be a collection of related information that is given a particular name called a file name. Then we have the command. The command is what DOS uses to interact with the user. It uses the command to interact with the user. Then command processor. This is the part of the operating system that receives and executes operating system commands. So what am I trying to say in essence? These and many more are the things you're going to be meeting at the course of studying Disk Operating System. But before we go further more, I will want us to do one last thing before we call this introductory part of this operating system a quit. We can format a disk by simply slotting our disk in the drive. Then when we slot the disk in our drive, let's confirm the drive of the disk, because it is necessary you confirm the drive of the disk before you start doing any other thing. When I click here, I go straight to PC. then I have my removable disk. So it means my removable disk is not yet appeared on the screen, so I'll keep making it. Okay, now the removable disk is just being recognized by the system and coming up gradually, because I want us to understand how you can format a disk using the DOS environment, because Windows is unable to format disk. So taking it to DOS makes the work easier. Sometimes if a particular disk is running a corrupt track and sector, it might not be able to be formatted. So the best solution is going to DOS and doing the magic. So while we the disk is already here. So the disk is represented with drive H. Now it is very important you take note of this drive H, for instance. Now to format drive, you must take note of the drive number or the drive letter. Understand? Because if you don't take note of it, you might go to format the wrong drive or the wrong disk. Now what you do, once you've done that, you've taken note of the drive, you just come and press format space. We have the drive there as H. We'll put our colon, press your enter. Now it will say insert new disk for drive H and press enter. Already we've inserted the disk in the drive H, so we'll press enter. It will now start running. It will run for as long as you want. Once this gets to 100, it means that our disk formatting process is eventually complete. But in some scenario whereby you want to make it very fast, now assuming I want to format my disk and I want it to be done fast, that is what a syntax will call format space H colon or the drive colon. You now put a space or a slash rather and put your Q. Q stands for quick format, then Q/S stands for quick format with system files. So these are the things you are expected to note at the course of learning DOS. Now, what are you going to do next? This is already taking time to complete, but we can't wait for it to complete because it might take longer time, being that we didn't use the quick format, taking its time. So I'm going to exit it from this point, open again and type my command prompt, but this time around I'm going to use a command called format space H colon/Q. It now asks if I want to do the same thing just like the previous one. I'll press enter. Now this time around it asks me that the initial this is a FAT system, so the file allocation table system. So what I'm going to do is just press my enter and wait for it to format my drive. The cursor will keep blinking until it asks us for other processes. Some of the questions you will be expecting for this process to come across is a question like, do you want to format? You will say yes. They will also ask you a question like here. Now they gave us a particular, there's an enter 11 character for label, which we didn't enter. Press that question. So you can easily do that, but let's come again. You can say format space h:/q. You send it. Now please take note, if you're doing this format, don't mistakenly press format space c:, because c:, has to do with your primary drive, and once you make such mistake, it means you are formatting your drive and automatically your system will be crashing. So take note of all this so that you don't end up doing the wrong thing or doing the right thing in a wrong way or with a wrong drive. So at this point, I'm going to try by pressing my enter again. Now it starts initializing the file allocation table. In this case, we're going to wait for it to complete the process. While we wait, we're going to be explaining some things that you're going to be meeting. We have some things you're going to be meeting, something like the syntax. What is a syntax? The question is, what is a syntax? A syntax is very simple, easy for you to understand. Syntax is just a line of command that you use to execute in a command line indoors. Now it has asked us the question that volume label 11 character, enter. Let's say I want to enter a volume label. I might just say my disk or my flash. I'll press enter. It means that anytime you plug this drive, this disk on the system, what you will see that will appear there is my drive. So let's go back to the system and wait to appear. We can easily say, let me minimize this. We'll come to this place, we'll refresh it so that we'll see what the drive is. Okay, the process is still initializing. It is done. Yep, it's now that it's done. You see, my flash just appeared here to show that the label we used is my flash. Guys, I hope you enjoyed it. If there is any place you seem to not to understand, make sure you drop your questions. We are going to give you your answers before anything, before you know it. And take note, if there's any part of this lesson that you didn't understand, feel free to replay it often and often until you understand it perfectly. Bye for now, and see you in the next topic of this class.